Good morning again. Good morning, everybody. Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj. Ended after 30 minutes because of signals, and I try again because try, except try, I cannot do anything. Again, signals are zero. Sometimes I feel angry, and sometimes I feel ridiculed because just starting is 50 seconds and it is 0 0 again. 3 FPS really worrying when they say 20 is minimum requirement. Well, let us move, let us hope it sets right. I continue with my discussion on power to achieve everything, and that's engineering. When I say power means engineering, and I consider engineering as power. Power of what? Power of life. Life gives engineering and engineering gives life. Both are mutual. Engineer does not mean education only. Engineer means do something in a right way, at right time, so that it is beneficial to human being. God is our engineer, God is our doctor, God is all in all, above all. And we are also product of God. We are everyone is product of God. This fact cannot be denied. If somebody denies that, this means that man has no sound mind, you can say. That person is no person. We refer to, we relate it to some institutions like, you know, ISO, that is an institution. This is created by human being. This is, designed by all nations, professionals, and this creates some kind of guidelines, some kind of directions that should be complied with, that should be used for performance of work. Ultimately, ultimately you can say it's not walls of a building, it's not columns of a building that would perform. They would perform for different purpose. But these were input provided to this building structure by professionals, and that's why that building exists, and that's why development comes individuals. All individuals are important in engineering, everyone. There is no saying that I am important and you are not important. It's like car, vehicle. Steering is important and engine is also more important than steering. Same way wheels are important and of course roads are important. So likewise, for life, engineering is important. It's important, it's significant in every way, not in one way or another way. We talked of structure of AnnexSL that we call it, and we were talking about contracting general, RCC buildings, and we covered clause 1, that is a scope. We covered clause 2. Clause 5, I think, is somewhere here. Leadership, then you can say clause 6. Support. It is very significant part. Support. whole one we can discuss at length about support, and we can then say long discussion on this can be conducted, and then we'll come to operations. So planning and support we discussed yesterday also, or in before. I was referring to previous talk, which was individuality based, and we say support to every project, support to every organization, support to every individual, and support from resources, support from references, support from plans, support everything. Every project is a group, is a collection of supports. Every project, every human is a collection of supports. Every human, every machine is also a collection of supports. Some support, of course, is promoted to lead, but support itself a lead. Every individual has to lead itself. Every individual. Individual means mind. Individual means use of mind. Individual means energy of you have. Individual means your determination. Individual means your commitment. Individual means you have to do something. Not to stay in sleeping mode, but to stay in active mode, not exactly give you unlimited ways to solve a problem. Interesting. Some people say, oh, this guy is sleeping, this guy is sitting, is doing nothing. But that person has limited thinking, because thinking also is work. It is passive work, but it is basis of work. If I keep thinking for hours together, I think it's a great way. If somebody can think for hours continuously, and maybe that person has many problems or very difficult problem. That is way of work, I think. Way of work, you cannot think just for a second or for a minute. Thinking means there is a problem and you have to solve that problem. Maybe it affects your health, that is different issue, we can care about that. But ultimately, thinking provides one with many options, because during thinking one has to analysis, which is great terminology in life. People do not take it lightly, they should not take it lightly, but generally very few people can analyze, maybe 2%, 1%, 3%, because it cannot be done by everybody. It's work of mind and it's work of experience, both. Combined experience of current mind and past works. Past work I refer to because those works give us idea, give us real learning. Those works remind us of mistakes or errors, and because once I make error, I should not repeat that error, and that lesson which I learned from past, it's important for me, that is teacher for me, because in class teacher cannot tell you real world, but in life you have to see real world. I say thinking is both. Mind thinking is very serious issue, because it's based on facts. And if you don't have any facts, you don't have any experience, you know something, then you can say it is imagination, it's not thinking. Thinking should always be logical. It should be based on certain reasons. It has reasons. It should import something into mind which can be called a reference. It can relate to that reference or you get some input from that, and there can be many inputs from various sources in every problem to solve. And as much as I can think, I can say I am better engineer, because thinking shall lead me to refinement. Thinking shall lead me to some options, and out of many options, as much as I think, as long as I think, that gives me input also, that gives me potential also. Potential in the fact that first potential I get capacity to think. And thinking doesn't mean just thinking, but it's a kind of calculation. It's a kind of collection of sequence. It's a kind of procedures. It's a kind of refer to something. Means it is collective thinking, disciplinary thinking. It happens. We support each other. It's not physical support. Everybody has mind. Everybody has opinions. Everybody has experience. And everybody has, you can say, knowledge. Knowledge means real knowledge. That is not theoretical knowledge alone. Theoretical knowledge acquainted and verified by work knowledge. Just like we say knowledge is light. Yes, it is light. It is power. If you have capacity to get it, capacity to store it, and capacity to apply it. That's why I stress on support on projects. There can be human resources support, there can be machine support, there can be technical support, or whatever support is there, we respect that. Support doesn't mean it's not leadership. It is leadership in its own way. Yes, there is one person who leads all, but everybody is leader because everybody moves on to get that project done. Support means, if you take example of building, there is support slab. Slab supports, a slab, or you can say horizontal member supports direct load on that. It transfers that load to beams. So beam supports a slab. Then beams transfer that load to columns. So you can say columns support beams, all beams, maybe 4 columns. You can say that portion supports that slab. And then columns go down to every level, and every level is supported by columns further. And then columns goes to below earth in foundations. So foundation support column, and then you can say foundation supports column. The foundation goes to where? Goes to soil. So ultimately our whole system is supported one after other. Somewhere it is leader, somewhere it is follower. So you can say there is no difference between leader and follower. One is supported, one is support. One supports, one supported. Like that it happens in sequence. So we should not be much worried about whether we are leaders or we are supporters. Ultimately is product. Ultimately what we deliver, that requirement is important. Support or what doesn't matter. Ultimately it is use of knowledge, use of mind. Leadership doesn't mean you are everything, and support doesn't mean you are everything. Everyone has its contribution. Sometimes one can give major contribution, only contribution others can't give, that person becomes a leader. But supporter is also a leader. Supporter, if likes, can advance further. It doesn't mean that there's a lockout, no. That's why I say in this clause support is very important point. Every resource is a support. Every person is a support. In fact, everybody is reliable. Resource, competence, awareness, communication, documented information. These are nothing new, we know all that. Nothing new. Means our support should be good. Now, for example, I'm not getting good support on this video, on live. Frames are down and then maybe little up again and then down. This means I always feel anytime this video can go from here. It happens. So my concentration keeps on checking it rather than thinking on what I should do. If suppose I can say that this video system or this signal system by Airtel are not very efficient or not reliable. See, my concern goes there. This video breaks down. It ends itself and I am broken. You can say that way. And I'm not getting required support from them. So that is weakness of quality, me say. That is weakness of system. Maybe they are good, I don't say. Maybe they are good. They have overload. They have much more work for them. They cannot support. I say they have to support us. Here support is Airtel. And I am customer. I am using that support. If I am unable to get that support from Airtel, I cannot continue this record. I cannot continue my work. My work breaks and I have to start again. That's what I say. Every 30 seconds, every 1 minute I am finding fall in signals, fall in frames per second. Whom I can, even if I complain, they are very big, I think. Don't care. I don't know how many complaints so far I have given. And they talk and do something. We have done it, we configured it, but this result is not well done. Well, I am just giving one example, and it applies to everyone. If support is not good, you cannot work successfully. You may work in pieces, you may work in disappointment. Technology advancement is also sometimes not very good, to be very frank. Because we just want to advance something without realizing facts. Constant state is very important. In engineering we used to learn this is constant, this is variable. You remember, we used to learn that. Something is having constant status, that it doesn't change. And something happens that it varies from one point to other point in its value. So we call it variable and we call other one constant. Our services at least should be constant for some period. But if every second it varies, means it's a big problem. We can't say uniformity exists in that way. Disturbance always exists, and that does not give confidence. Confidence means we should have something reliable on which we can walk. That walking is important. That movement is important. And if we have good resources who are competent enough at least for that work, may not be competent for every work, those resources are good. Those resources are acceptable. Say I have a resource of machine. I have to work with that machine. I can be successful only if I use that machine. And if I use that machine, it breaks every hour. Though it is very efficient machine, but it breaks every hour. Now what is purpose of this machine? I cannot work continuously for 8 hours or 10 hours. So my efficiency would suffer. My product, my output shall suffer. So constant, though machine is good, it's very expensive probably, but it doesn't suit in its total function. It may be very heavy, it may be very expensive, but even one part breaks or stops working, whole machine stops working. That is not required. Its mechanism, a designer or manufacturer nothing is very significant. Resources we have to value. If we can measure everything in terms of money, then we cannot have resources. We can have resources, but futile resources. Those resources look after money only. And if you look for science, we look for development, we look for advancement in technology, we look for serving this universe. Means in that way, money cannot be considered an exclusive or unique criteria for advancement. We have to learn from nature. Nature has been strong as nature the resources are. Because we are human beings, we are not mountains and we are not planets. We are very small entities and we have to depend on that. Competence is another point. Competence is something that resource can give. Resource is competent, consistent, sincere, reliable, and many more parameters can be checked. Very intelligent person doesn't mean one is reliable. If someone is brilliant, very brilliant, mind was very fast, it doesn't mean that person is reliable. That person may be having mind but no patience. That person does not perform to what is demanded of. Every person should have every property. When I consider resource, human resource, those cannot be encountered. Everybody seeks rest, but competence has to be developed. Everyone is competent to some extent. Those who are less competent, but they are competent in something. Even a person who excavates something is also competent. At least one knows how to use a tool. An operator of machine, say excavator, knows how to operate that machine. Only then that can excavate. Same way, every activity is required. Every activity requires, activity is required, and every activity requires some support, some operator, some, even if it is machine, some input some infill of petrol or diesel, some electrical requirement, some other requirement, only then that equipment can work. And that is a resource. So resource also requires another resource. No resource is independent. In fact, you take whatever machine we use in construction, every machine has certain requirement of fuel or electrical backup or maintenance support, spare part support, maintenance, spare part, rest, or you can say whatever it is, machine has to work full time or how it is required to work. It is significant. If machine can support us, we get success. Same way, if humans can support us, we can get successful. And it's not only direct support, it is indirect support as well. We have to respect that resource. Our respect to that resource, our respect means, it's not that we fold hand, it means we care about that resource. Only then those machines can work for us successfully. If we think of caring when they break, then I think that is not principle of engineering. If you take care of people or personnel when they break, then I don't think that's principle of engineering. We can say care. Means everybody should be ready for work. This means there should be someone behind that person to keep that person fit or keep that machine fit. And that's also, you can say, they should know their job, they should have more knowledge, they should be given support to learn more, they should be given opportunity on works itself to have further movement in their career. That can be a horizontal movement, that can be vertical movement. Everybody likes vertical movement or vertical mobility. Vertical mobility, horizontal mobility, we know these are terms we learned. We learned in our life these terms, means very significant terms these are. We have to respect these terms. But here question is permanently. We cannot isolate them one from another. If we isolate them, we can say we isolate ourselves. There can be no activity of engineering that does not have quality system with it, that does not support with it. And one activity leads another activity. This also happens. But both are important. Lead one or follow one. Sometimes lead becomes follower, and sometimes follower becomes leaders. Like human being. But important requirement is work, performance. Awareness, as I said, communication, as we said. Communicative, it should be communicative. Means everybody has to tell someone else. If I instruct someone, I am also instructed. Maybe I am boss, but I get instruction from someone. Instruction never stays permanently at one point. Either it diminishes or it converts its shape. It converts its properties. Conversion of instructions, new instruction, amendments, like designs and new designs. When we get designs, we get details. It's also instruction. When we get some written requirements, it's also instruction. And when we say some important thing that happens on works on site, say something excellent done or something done very bad, Both require something. If something is an excellent, then we want to keep that excellence, right? Oh, excellent performance. Your excellent performance shall go away because it has no meaning, because it's not seen now. Something has come on that. That bad activity has come on that. So very important point. Very significant point. We have to be serious. This means other guy says keep it up. This means keep your activities strong. Do not drop yourself. Do not drop yourself. Because dropping is very easy, rising is very difficult. And whatever we do, it should be documented. Now generally trend is people take photographs. People produce videos of activities. Okay, that's